Okay guys, you want to come to Japan to ride a motorcycle? Here's some things you need to know before you go. Let's do it. All right, let's kick off with a big one. Lane splitting and filtering. This is a topic I get asked about all the time. Technically, in Japan, they don't have a law that says it's legal or illegal, but rather they have a system of lines on the road that you have to be careful of. So if you see a solid white line, that means you can't change lanes. If it's a solid yellow line, it means you can't pass. Okay, so let's talk now about expressways. Now, Japan has an amazing network of expressways you can use. A lot of places, though, in the inner cities or more built-up areas have an ETC-only system. Now, that's our electronic payment system for the expressway. So if you are thinking about grabbing a bike in Tokyo and just ripping out on the expressway to get out of the city, you've got to make sure you've got ETC on the bike. Otherwise, you won't be able to get on or off the expressways in some of the built-up areas. Out in the countryside, most places will have a ticket system and you can pay by cash or credit card. So that's no problem. But just be aware that you might not be able to use them. Also, if you are trying to get on the expressway, the bike has to be above 125 cc's. And in some parts of Tokyo, you can't ride with a passenger on the expressway. So do a little research on where you want to go and figure out the rules there. Okay, next point. In Japan, we drive on the left. So if you're coming from a right-hand drive country, just be wary of that. We drive on the left-hand side over here. Okay, helmet laws. 100% you have to wear a helmet. So before you get on the bike, get your lid on. Okay, when it comes to having a drink in Japan, drink driving is taken incredibly serious here. The tolerance level is 0.03%, but they advertise it as a zero tolerance policy. So if you are thinking about drinking and then getting on the road, probably best just not to do that. All right, next let's talk about parking your bike. This is where it's kind of cool and difficult at the same time. Most places will have designated bike parking. Usually it's close to the entrance. It's absolutely fantastic and easy to use. However, major sort of parking towers, a lot of the coin parks you'll find around the cities don't have a designated spot for a motorcycle. Best case scenario, if you're looking for a place to park your bike, is to cruise around and look for a big group of bikes parked together. Safe bet you'll be able to park there. Okay, next one is a big one on social media. It's safety and crime in Japan. Now, everyone goes on about how Japan is insanely safe, and compared to many places in the world, that's absolutely true. However, I have had friends who have had their helmets stolen, had their bike stolen, had their bags stolen. It's not a complete utopia here. But for the most part, Japan is pretty safe. I leave my stuff on the bike a lot and I've never had any issues. All right, next let's talk about the speeding issues here. Now, the speed limits in Japan are rigorously enforced. However, people tend to follow a different path, which is stay in the flow of traffic. For the most part, if you're staying with the flow of traffic, you're good to go. Technically, though, you can get pulled over for speeding, so just watch your limits, keep an eye on what you're doing. Okay, another really cool thing to keep an eye out for when you're traveling through Japan is called the Michi-no-eki system, or basically road station. They're all over the country. You can find them on and off the expressways, and most of the parts, they'll have a 24-hour toilet you can use. You can park there as much as you want. It's completely free to park, and they usually have a shop with some restaurants, vending machines, etc. So they're fantastic places to take a break. However, when it comes to like staying there overnight, you're not allowed to pitch a tent. Now, as anyone who's been following my series Project 47 knows, I am solo moto camping for the most part around Japan. So I thought I'd touch base with that because I know a lot of people love to take the bike out on the road and go camp. Japan's a little tricky for camping. There's a lot of registered campsites around the country. There is not a lot of public land, so it's sometimes very hard to find a place just to pitch your tent. And those registered campsites are often seasonal, so don't always expect them to be open, and they're very rarely free. All right, let's talk roads in Japan. Now, if you're out on the expressway or just doing the major routes in Japan, the roads are absolutely fantastic. They're really good. There's lots of infrastructure, there's lots of lighting. However, if you're like me and you like to get out into the wild a little bit more up in the mountains, you are gonna find some crazy thin little roads. Roads you wouldn't even expect to get a large car or SUV down will be a 2-lane road, sometimes with buses coming the other direction, lots of hairpin corners. If you do find yourself on one of these roads, just slow down, take it easy, and also check on every blind corner. There should be a large mirror so you can see what's coming from around the other side. Also, don't forget, just give your horn a little toot, things like that. It can save your life. Those roads are no joke, but they're super fun. All right, guys, so there's my tips for getting ready to ride a motorcycle around Japan. If you have some questions I haven't answered, drop a comment below and I'll do my best to answer those. But most importantly, get over here and enjoy it. It's a crazy cool country to see on two wheels. And if you do, happy riding.